You straight up cuckooed that dude, bro. Oh my God.
You've got all your Charger gear on because
I look good. I got big energy every day. Let's go!
And he is dicked.
Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
That's right.
You have to love what you're seeing on tape if you're a Chargers fan, especially for the future with Justin
Herbert on the move and throws and touchdown.
Players, coaches, staff, fans, together, we can create something truly special.
Stay tuned for some good content.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Charger Chat. Put the pitchforks and torches down, folks. We got some stuff to talk about. I'm your co-host, Wolldog, sitting with my buddies, Kev, Hug, and Duggan.
What's up, boys?
And Kyle, the coach, Duggan.
What's up, guys?
All right, folks. First and foremost, we got to talk about my man, Coach. When he was in Hawaii celebrating his birthday, couldn't be bothered. So Kev and I had to take up hosting duties. But, you know, when it's post-surgery, 4 wisdom teeth yanked out of his face.
What, like 2 hours ago?
Yeah, knocked out.
4 hours ago.
I mean, go and do something like this and totally redeem yourself.
Totally comes back ready and raring than ever. I got to imagine Coach is fired up based off all the moves that have happened lately. So
yeah, if there wasn't so much to talk about, I'd been like, all right, you guys got this.
Later.
I feel like I owe it to our fan base to come on here and try to walk people through the pitchforks and the suicide threats and the I'm leaving this team.
Right. I'm trying to figure out who got more angry when the Chargers moved to LA or when we waived
T-Billy.
T-Billy. Like,
it's like we cut Justin Herbert or something. It's like everyone lost their goddamn minds.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I can understand the emotion from it because as soon as I saw it, I was just as like my hair was, if I had hair, it would have been blown back because it was just like
it was so unexpected, right? We weren't even talking about that at all.
T-Billy, you waved it.
At the beginning of training camp, he was the number 3, and he was making huge plays and it going off. And then he got a little injury, and it seems like he never got back into the good graces.
Well, I think there's a lot of speculation in regards to why we let him go. As far as what Brandon Staley had to say about it in regards to waiving T-Billy, he said it was a tough one, a really tough one. T-Billy has done a lot for this team in the past, and he did some good things for us in camp. That was one of the tougher conversations that I had today. I think that we have a really deep receiver room. We do. There's a lot of competition. I think that it's just one of the things where it's more numbers, not so much how we feel about him as a player, because I have a lot of respect for his game. Just where we're at from a number standpoint, and then the kicking game being a big aspect of those back-end receiver roles. Just felt like going in this direction would be the right direction for us right now.
So they just have no faith in him on special teams is what they're saying.
That's what it feels like, yeah.
Which honestly, like, what is the one thing we need to improve more than anything in the world is special teams. So if our coaching staff is looking at this so intently and so microscopic that there's another player that could be slightly better for us on special teams, they're willing to cut him. It's just still kind of confusing. I don't quite know why we got rid of him.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I don't know. I feel like I'm grasping at straws and speculating, trying to figure out a reason behind it. But I think it's best just to come to terms with it. Again, we still have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Jalen Guyton, Josh Palmer, who we just picked up. Who am I missing? There's got to be somebody else. That's
KJ Hill.
KJ Hill.
Yeah. So that's the hardest part is you keep KJ Hill and you let go of T-Billy. Like KJ Hill has not proven himself as a special teamer.
Right.
He has not proven, like he had a couple here and there, but nothing to the point where I think he's that much better than what we've seen from T-Billy on the field. So, and then you see what happens as soon as waivers start to be claimed. Who do the number one on the waiver wire is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who do they take?
T-Billy.
T-Billy.
I feel like that's just how you know you made a mistake. That's when you know you messed up.
Other teams know how good he is also.
Yeah.
It's not just what us fans thought. So
yeah.
There's man, it's been all, rainbows and butterflies for Charger fans in terms of nothing to really get upset about. But man, when there's an opportunity to get upset about something, we sure know how to do it.
Well,
because it got a little crazy last couple of days.
Here's what I think we should do. getting upset about it doesn't do you any good because there's nothing you can do to change it. What you do though is you put it away in the file folder for as things go on in the season. You
We
know
gotta
what
put
I mean?
this in your file.
This is my flag.
Yeah.
It's in my back pocket. I'm fucking ready to pull it at a moment's
Yeah,
notice.
the
Just say
challenge-
the word. Just say the word. Just don't even. You don't even. Just say "guh." You don't even say
Yeah.
"go." Just "guh," and I'm gonna fucking pull it out so goddamn quick. You're not even gonna fucking.
It's kind of like the don't play your guys in the preseason. We don't know how that's going to work out until the things proceed and see what happens with injuries and if we're rusty week 1. And
That was what also kind of surprised me. I forgot to mention it when we were talking about the preseason games, but when we played Seattle, and I think even the game prior against the 49ers, when Tyron Johnson was playing, we were so used to seeing him going for those deep balls to go down and make those big, deep catches. But all of the catches that he was making were those kind of short, just, check down passes where he'd maybe get like 3 or 4 yards if he was lucky. And I mean, I don't know if that's due in part to the line just crumbling around him. And it's just like, fuck, I can't wait for you to get down there. I got to get rid of this ball now.
I think there's an element to it's like they're not running these really deep routes in those last game just because they didn't have enough time.
There just wasn't the time.
But I don't know. It's interesting why, we should have really looked at it. Like, why was the projected 3rd round player still playing in that final preseason in the 4th quarter? Like, we didn't really look at that, and none of that raised a flag. But in hindsight, like, what else went on here to really make this decision? Because you're, like you said, grasping at straws. Like, I'm trying to really find a reason why this makes sense, but it doesn't, unless there's the only way I could justify it is if there's some character thing that we don't know about, that it wouldn't be a good fit for the team. Like, okay, well then that's off
come
the
out
field.
and say it.
But it doesn't sound like that's what the case was, unless Brandon Staley's just being nice about it. But he's been forthcoming about everything so far. So I'm not going to say that he's not being forthcoming about this. So
yeah,
it's just a head scratcher.
It's a head scratcher for sure. And best to T Billy. He was great when we had him. I think some of us kind of held our breath hoping that he might end up on the practice squad, but obviously he was just too good of a player and Jacksonville picked him up. There was another kind of surprise. I mean, I say it was a surprise, but at the same time,
not to me. I'm actually kind of happy
the writing
about
was
this.
kind of on the wall.
Yeah.
But it was such
we
an
finally
uncertain.
predicted something.
It was
right.
right.
It's the first time we predicted something appropriately on this podcast. So I'm excited about that.
And what we're alluding to, folks, is the release of the Money Badger. Michael Badgley was let go, making way for Tristan Vizcaino to be our kicker.
The Volcano.
He made it through. Brandon Staley had this to say about Tristan. Ultimately, what convinced me, Tom, and our coaching staff about Tristan was that this guy has real talent. This guy has real leg strength. We feel like he has a lot of ability. He's at the beginning of his football journey. We felt that if there's a product in there, that if we continue to tap into that development, that there's a really talented player there, then the kickoff aspect of the job was really important. We feel like he has a really special kickoff leg.
It's like we were talking about. Kickoff leg was going to be a big deal right there. That's what made it.
Yep. I hate to see the Money Badger go. I hate to see him get waived, but it had to happen. And it's a new day with Tristan Vizcaino being the kicker.
And apparently he's also grew up a Charger fan, kind of what I heard.
Chino Hills. He grew up right outside of that LA area. So that's pretty cool. It's always fun to have those stories.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know how it was going to feel. Like, obviously Michael Badgley had a bad year, but he does have a rapport in the locker room, and he's on a lot of the social media stuff. So you kind of build a relationship with him. I didn't know how I was going to feel, but when the news came out, I could feel myself excited. Yeah. And that's how you know how you really felt about the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Which stinks because I'm sure he'll go to Detroit. I saw Detroit cut both their kickers, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's going to reunite with Coach Lynn." If he does, I'm sure he'll go on to be a great kicker somewhere other than the Chargers. But I think seeing that alert, I was like, "Yep, I'm excited about the Volcano. I think it'll be good. A nice change of pace. We turned over a huge part of our roster. I think I saw somewhere like 21 guys of the 53 are brand new to this team this year.
That's a lot.
Well, we lost almost an entire draft class that went to other teams. And then, we had some other turnovers. We let some guys go, picked up some other new guys. And it's a brand new team. It feels completely different. And hopefully these are all moves in the right direction.
Right.
The one move that felt like it was in the wrong direction was the retention of Trey Pipkins.
I just here's what I think. I think he's a placeholder.
I think so too. That's what I was trying to get across to you guys last episode. You guys were so
You're right.
Like,
We just
I didn't want to believe it. Yeah, but because of what happened, even just today as we record this, we signed a new defensive tackle and we've signed a new defensive back off the waivers. We claimed them. And in a corresponding move, we dropped a D lineman and a DB. So It seems like they have their numbers. They already knew these are the numbers we want at DB. These are the numbers we want at receiver. These are the numbers we want at line. So Pipkins is a placeholder right now until we find a guy that we want to be that backup tackle, and then he'll get the cut. That's why I think to help everyone with I would rather have T Billy than Trey Pipkins. That's just, it was never a reality. That they have their numbers of guys that they want at each spot. So that depth wasn't what they were looking for. So I think that Pipkins, I think we can all take a deep breath because I truly believe he's a placeholder for right now until they find the guy off of waivers or free agency that they want to go after.
Well, when they asked Brandon Staley in regards to keeping Trey Pipkins, he said there are still aspects of his game that certainly need improvement, but we felt like he's been invested in trying to improve. We just felt like for now, he's a player that we can still hang with. We feel like he's earned that with us, with how he's invested in his game. Although he's had some tough moments that a lot of people have seen, there's been other moments where we feel like, hey, there's still more in there that we can tap into. We're just going to hang tough with him. He certainly has to improve.
Yeah, he's a practice squatter.
This isn't the most incredible, optimistic,
it's not
glaring,
a ringing endorsement.
No, not even a little bit. This is well, he's put a lot of time into us. So this is a relationship.
He's got an A for effort, and we recognize that.
We're gonna try this out a little longer, but we're not sure. It was so not how we talked about some of his other players, and
very non-committal.
It's funny just how this offensive line was last year. Like Trey Pipkins being our left tackle for a good portion of some of those games. There's something that just came out today. It showed all of our guys essentially from last year. Sam Tevi hurt himself, was cut. Forrest Lamp got hurt, was cut from his team.
Yep.
Dan Feeney is a backup now. He's not even starting.
Oh, wow.
And that you're looking at what we had to deal with last year, and I feel like Trey Pipkins just fits in perfectly with those guys.
Yeah,
shouldn't be on the field, should be cut, should be waived. I'm just excited now, trying to flip this into a positive mindset. Yeah. I'm excited with the guys that we have up front. Am I scared to see Pipkins trot out onto the field? If one of the guys needs to take a break, oh, you bet your sweet ass I am. But what am I going to do? Just complain about it? I think I got all my shit talking on Pipkins out yesterday on Twitter.
We're done.
I'm feeling okay. I'm ready to move on with my life. And then we'll pick it back up when we see him in a game for a hot second.
We're all very upset about a backup.
How good is that? That's a good thing.
Nice.
We're all pissed off about our backup players and not our quarterback. Most teams are finding out who their starting quarterback's going to be. And I'll worry about that.
Yeah, we're good in that regard. We're good in a lot of regards. As far as who we're actually going to see out there on the field. Just a quick list of some of the other guys that we waived. Obviously, Badgley, Michael Bandy, who we initially waived, but I believe he made it back to the practice squad, as did Darius Bradwell, John Brannon, Cortez Broughton, I think got signed by Kansas City.
That sucks.
Cole Christensen, Ben DeLuca, Mike Bule, Braden Pahoko came back on the practice squad. Thank God. Joe Gaziano, Nate Gilliam, Ryan Hunter, Tyron Johnson. Obviously, we already talked about him. Hunter Campmoyer, Jason Moore Jr., and Joe Reed. So a lot of those guys ended up coming back, including Joe Reed. So Craig, you might want to rescind your, send off love letter because he's back.
Well, dude, if you want to look at our practice squad, because this is an impressive looking practice squad. You got Braden Fahoko, Mike Egbule, Cole Christensen, Darius Bradwell, Joe Gaziano. Like there's some guy, Joe Reed's on here, Jason Moore. He's on our practice squad.
Yep.
Like these guys, when you become a practice squad player, you have the option of going somewhere else.
Right.
So the fact that they chose to stay here on this practice squad means that they're, they feel confident in this team and where it's going. And this is a good looking practice squad. I know most of these names, and most of these guys were on the active roster last year.
Yeah, I'm glad to see Fehoko come back. I'm glad to see
Thank
Bandy
God for
come back
Fehoko.
as well. Yeah,
Thank
God for Fehoko. And glad to see Bandy as well. I thought he was very active in the preseason games, so I'm curious to see what his production could be should we ever need it when he's actually working with all the other number ones out there. And good to see Joe Reed back as well. Hopefully he can get healed up from his little injury and maybe see some play time as well. Yeah. So as far as what the actual 53-man roster was, we'll try to kind of blow through this real quick. We did end up holding on to 3 quarterbacks. So Herbert, Daniel, and Stick, all here. Running backs, Austin Eckler, Justin Jackson, safe. Larry Roundtree and Joshua Kelly, all safe. Gabe Neighbors, safe as well. Good to see him still there. Wide receivers, obviously Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, Jalen Guyton, and KJ Hill. Tight ends, Jared Cook, Donald Parham, Trey McKitty, and Steven Anderson. I was a little surprised about Steven Anderson.
Well, I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of 2 tight end sets because there's almost as many tight ends as there are wide receivers on this 53.
It's true.
Like,
Yeah,
what do you make of that, Kyle?
It's special teams, but because McKitty and Steven Anderson are going to be big special teams participants. But yeah, for sure, I think it's possible. I don't know. I think Parham is kind of a glorified wide receiver.
Yeah.
So we've seen him line out, split out, so you can kind of put him in either category. And if you tossed him up to receivers, there's 6 and 3. So with his versatility, I think that's where they're comfortable with that.
That's cool.
And you carry the tight ends because of special teams.
And then as far as the linemen, Rashawn Slater, Matt Filer, Corey Lindsley, Odea Bushi, Brian Balaga, Iowa, Trey Pipkin, Storm Norton, Scott Quessenberry, and Brendan Hymas. So,
all right, boys,
the rest
let's
of the
go.
lineup, there's just one sore spot when you read through those offensive linemen. The rest I'm like pretty excited about.
One of these things doesn't look like the other.
One of these things is not like the other.
Yep.
Oh God. All I can think of now, whenever I think of Trey Pipkins, is that image that you put on Twitter of him like doing like a dance move. He's like, he's like shimmying out to his left. He's doing like one of these businesses. He's doing
Somebody asked me like, what is the begin? What is that move? What is that kind of pass block set? I'm like, it's the beginning of a pirouette. It looks like he's about to start spinning in ballet. So,
all right. Well, there you go. Trey, if things don't work out in football, you might want to go on Dancing with the Stars. Then looking at the defensive side, our linemen, Linval Joseph, Jerry Tillery, Justin Jones, Kristen Covington, and, well, it was Forrest Merrill, but we just waived him, unfortunately.
Now we got Eric Banks from the Los Angeles Rams, who we'll look at these guys that were picked up off the waiver wire, but he played for Brandon Staley in 2020.
Oh, that's true. Right. Yeah.
Brandon Staley had eyes on
saw
him.
It and scooped. Yeah.
He had the comparison. He's like, he knows
what he's getting with Banks.
He knows what he's getting. Yeah. He's happy about it. So I trust that.
Yeah. I think it's a good move. Edge rushers, Joey Bosa, Uchenna Nwosu, Kyler Fackrell, Chris Rumpf, all guys we expected. Linebackers, Kenneth Murray, Drew Tranquil, Kaiser White, Nick Neiman, and Eamon Ogbongbemiga.
The undrafted free agent.
Love
and he's stuck around so far. Even
I'm so
the
glad.
First little waiver
That's
claim.
another thing I was very glad about. I was like, I hope I didn't make this Ogbongbemiga tequila commercial for nothing.
He's got. We're the Chargers. Got to have one.
That's our one, right?
Guy.
That's our one undrafted so far.
I think so. Yeah, that's our one guy.
Merrill didn't end up getting it.
Right. And then looking at the cornerbacks, Chris Harris Jr., Asante Samuel Jr., Michael Davis, Brandon Faison. Let him go. So Brandon's not there. So everybody can celebrate for that. Also,
he's gone. But also another interesting insight on this, Trey Marshall, who played for the Broncos last year, played for defensive coordinator Ronaldo Hill.
That's right.
They have we've worked with these players. We feel comfortable with them. We're bringing them in. It's not just like, oh, he might be good. Let's bring him in. It's like we have experience with these guys.
Yeah.
Trey Marshall is also like best friends with Derwin James from Florida State.
That might have helped.
Yeah. So we've got all Florida State DB backs on the Chargers.
DBU.
I love it. And then Kamon Hall and Tavon Campbell all in the cornerback room. So a hefty amount of cornerbacks And then safeties, Derwin James, Nasir Adderley, Ahalohi Gilman, and Mark Webb. And then on special teams, Tristan Vizcaino, we mentioned, Ty Long, and our new long snapper, Matt Overton. So
there you have it.
That's all 53, folks. I think it's a solid looking group, and I got to trust that they're putting the right 53 out there for the Chargers. And I'm excited. I think this is a really exciting looking team. And like Kyle said, we've got like 21 new names on here that weren't with us last year. So I don't know what to expect when game one comes around, and hopefully neither does Washington, because it's going to be an exciting game for sure.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna now go on to our Bolt Insight, but before we do, let's let Kyle go rest. He's missing 4 teeth. He's got ice on his face. It's been a rough day for Kyle the Coach Duggan. So yes, round of applause, big guy.
Coach tried to put another coach on the bench, and Coach wasn't living on the bench. He said, "Put me in. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to talk about this 53-man roster, even though I'm in pain."
Yeah,
like a true professional.
It was fun. I'm going to go take a nap. Okay, love you, bye.
Okay, love you, bye, buddy. All right, so we had to let Coach go a little early there, but don't worry, folks. We do have a coach's classroom this week. We recorded that prior to surgery, Kyle. So we do have that. So stick around for that. But first, we need to go to our next segment. That's Bolt Insight. And we have a return interview for Bolt Insight, one that I've been excited to check out. Let's see who we got.
As soon as that clock starts, your ass is mine.
When I met Justin Herbert, man, that dude is big as hell.
The goal is to just keep it rolling.
Come in hype, because we have a lot of things to be excited about.
All right, guys, we are back with another Bolt Insight, and we are super lucky today to have Bolt God. What is going on, Bolt God?
Good morning, fellas. What's going on with you guys? How you guys doing?
Doing really good. So we're super pumped to have you back on. You were on maybe over a year and a half ago. We were in a different stadium, different everything. So let's reset on this one, and let's ask you again, how did you become a Charger fan?
Well, I became a Charger fan long time ago. I used to play football in high school, and my position was running back. So therefore, I used to watch LT. He was my favorite player. So after he retired, I couldn't keep changing teams, so I just stuck it out, and always liked the underdog role. So that's how I became a Chargers fan. It's been a long time, about 20 plus years so far now.
That's awesome. So I wanted to ask you, about Bolt God, because you're like the unofficial official mascot of our team, and we love seeing you at the games and representing all of us. So how did Bolt God get started?
Just randomly. I actually I went to a football game in Denver. I saw a bunch of people dressed up, and I thought it would be pretty fun because I'm pretty wild myself. So I was like, I would try it out. So, I got an idea off of a bunch of Facebook groups, and someone sent the idea, and I just put it together, and I decided to try it once. I was only going to do it once.
Yeah.
But it actually just took off from there. So now it's been about 4 years later, and it's still rolling.
That's awesome. So we're excited, super pumped for this season and for you to be at the games and all that stuff. So let's talk a little bit about, the last time, like I mentioned, the last time we talked, we were at a different stadium. Phillip Rivers was our quarterback. There's a lot of differences to what we have now. Like, what is, out of all those things, new QB, new coach, new stadium, what has been one of the more exciting things for you?
Well, just a fresh start, just a fresh start. We have Herbert. He's obviously super awesome. Everyone loves him, enjoys him. Me personally, I expect him to be good, but I think he has over-exceeded expectations. So, just being in the fresh start, and, we got the new stadium and all. Even though it isn't our stadium, it's still a fresh start. It's a new scene. New coach, a bunch of new players, a bunch of players that we've had, like Keenan Allen and, Derwin James being healthy again, and, Austin Eckler's starting to being healthy this year because he had a rough year last year with injuries. So, I'm excited to see these guys get back to work, man.
Yeah, it's super exciting. So, and it was cool. We saw you at the first preseason game versus the 49ers, and we just wanted to get your perspective on what it was like being at the game. What's the vibe like? Like, what was your first impressions?
It was exciting. First of all, we started off with an absolute knockout tailgate. The tailgate was awesome. I think the energy was super, super high. Everyone was excited to actually just be around other human beings for first time in a while, seeing that the pandemic hit. And then Psi, obviously, other fans usually come in and they're pretty deep, but that's okay. We still had high energy. The game was fun. It was good to watch. And yeah, man, the stadium is awesome, man. Parking's a little rough, but the stadium is great. So it was fun, man. That was a good time. I'm excited to get actually even more high energy than what the preseason game was. But for a preseason game, it had a regular season feel.
That's awesome. Well, and you kind of briefly just mentioned it, like we saw some comments you had on kind of the fan turnout and like keeping the right perspective, the right mindset on that and not getting too upset. Like talk a little bit about your perspective on that.
One thing I've always, had a common question on is why do we always get overwhelmed by other teams' fans? And I always try to, reiterate and try to keep people's mind focused on is just being focused on what we can be focused on. If you're a Charger fan, just be a Charger fan. We shouldn't have to worry about what other team fan bases are doing because that's just really out of our control. If you can show up to a game 1 week, then great. If you can show up to a game all 8 weeks, a home game all 8 weeks, then great. Just do the best part that we can do. Things will happen. And one thing that I always tell people is like, people follow winners. And unfortunately, as being a realistic Charger fan, we've never won a Super Bowl. So being a team that's never won a Super Bowl, it's hard for people to want to follow, But
sure.
Hey, if you're a Charger fan, stay a Charger fan. It doesn't mean we'll never get one. We'll get one. And the people that's been here since the beginning will get to celebrate like it's 1999.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a great perspective. And we still had a lot of turnout. It feels like our fan base is growing and it's really exciting.
Yeah, man. I've seen a lot of 49er fans sitting in the 500 section, which means they were sitting in heaven. So, yeah, you guys going to take those seats. We'll sit down low with the diehards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's close it out on this. Like, what are your plans? What are Bolt God's plans this year? What do you got in store?
Well, right now it's just show up. That's my main focus is just show up, be to every home game, possibly do my best to make as many away games as possible. I'm only going to probably do about 2 this year, seeing that the pandemic's still hitting pretty hard.
Yeah,
I don't want to put too much focus on away games. It's going to be pretty rough. So therefore, my main focus is just show up, make the kids smile, try to bring a bunch of gifts for the kids when I see them at games, pins, stickers, things like that. And just try to keep full energy. No matter if we're up or if we're down, my energy is going to stay the same. So that's just pretty much my focus. And just try to lead the way for the people that, sometimes get down about being a Chargers fan. Hey, and when it's dark, sometimes at the end of the tunnel, it's going to be light. So at the end of the day, we got to keep our eyes open so we can find that light.
I love it. That's a great perspective. I think everyone can use a little dose of that kind of thinking. So we appreciate your time, Bolt God. We really look forward to meeting you at one of these games. And yeah, man, let's have an awesome season.
I'll definitely catch you guys soon. I'm pretty sure of it, man. I can't wait to meet you guys in person.
Absolutely, man. Well, have a great day and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Take it easy.
Dude, like that was that. Okay. So
it's motivational speaker.
It was, first of all, yeah, Bolt God made a lot of good points. It was interesting to have the point of view of his cup holder, but
that was awesome.
I think he hit it so good, man. Like, people do follow winners, right? Like that's a fact. Like, and the Chargers just haven't won, but we will get ours. And it feels like right now with the coaching staff that we have in place, with Herbert slinging the rock, everything is kind of lining up. Obviously, we need to see some games get played. We need to see some results before we get too excited. But like, yeah, man, if you're a Charger fan, just be a Charger fan. Like it's so simple. Like, what a simple way to put it. Like, I understand like being critical. Like, hey, we get critical here at the Charger chat all the time. I mean, if Trey Pipkins, Michael Bentley, you guys, Brandon Faison, we do that. So, I mean, it's understandable to have a debate, to discuss and to critique, but like, just let's all, we're all on the same team, man. Then let's continue to do that. And if you can go to games, dude, go to games. Like I am so excited to go to games and actually like share some of the energy with Bolt God. Yeah. And all the other fans. Like I can't wait to see I can't wait I don't know where Bolt God sits, but I imagine regardless of where he sits, I'm going to hear an echo of his voice saying, "Be quiet!" Like, I can't wait to hear that. That's going to just make my day. So, dude, Bolt God, thank you, dude.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm pumped. The thing I took from it, and I think is a good perspective for me, because I do get hung up on the getting overwhelmed thing. That
it's
kind
easy
of really,
to, yeah. We're emotional. We do that.
Well, and it sucks. So I've been to games where where the smaller the fan base is, and I just don't like how it feels.
Yeah.
And also being a Charger fan, not living in LA or San Diego or near the Chargers, like, I want to come home and not be around other fans because I'm just always around them. So
yeah,
I think the perspective I take out of this is like, hey, who we're riding with is who we're riding with. If you're
That's
there,
right.
that's who we're riding with.
Ride or die, baby.
I'm gonna stay positive on it. I'm not gonna try and harp on the turnout, because, dude, let's just be frank. My middle name's Frank. Let's just be frank.
You be Frank.
About
I'll be
this.
Wool Dog.
I'll be Frank. You be Wool Dog. There's a lot of Cowboys fans in the United States of America. There's going to be a lot of them showing up to a brand new stadium.
Yep.
Let's just call it what it is. It's realistic, So let's just keep our heads down. We gotta have to be twice as loud as each person in that stadium for the other team.
Mhm.
Let's just do it. Game
That's
on.
right.
I'm game. I don't need my voice. That podcast that next week, you'll understand if you can barely understand us.
Welcome
right?
back to the Charger Chat podcast.
Oh my god! Yeah, that's what I guarantee you. That's what I'm going to sound like. I promise.
We're all going to be a bunch of Dick Vitales. Yeah, baby.
Done.
I love it. All right. Well, there you go. Thank you, Bolt God, again for stopping by. Can't wait to see you in person. Can't wait to see all you guys, especially if you're going to the home opener game, man. It's gonna be a hoot and a holler for sure. And now, folks, as we mentioned, we do still have a coach's classroom to attend. This is gotta go back in time and revisit Kyle the Coach Duggan, what he's got for us in his classroom. Class is in session, folks. Let's go. That's right, folks. It's time for another rendition of Coach's Classroom, and we reach into the bag of questions this week and we pull one out from Bolt Fan 43, who asked the question. Coach Kyle, can you go over blocking schemes and overall strategy for kick and punt returns? That would make me really happy.
Me too. I'd like to know more.
I'd like to know what to look for, because when it comes to kickoffs and punts and everything like that, I'm just like, okay, they kick the ball. Guys, get to the one who's catching the ball sooner rather than later, please and thank you.
And I usually do this. Please God, please God, please God, please God.
Let me cross my fingers.
Please
I say
just
a
close your
small
eyes.
prayer.
God, fuck, please.
I say a Hail Mary and hope for the best. So what is the strategy, Coach, when it comes to that kind of play?
Yeah. So I just want to remind everyone, I'm referred to as the coach, but I never coached in the NFL. So all of my experience and expertise is from the high school level. I coached high school football for 10 years. So that's where my background is. The intricacies of the NFL game compared to the high school game are incredibly more detailed. So I'm going to give you my knowledge of special teams from a high school head coach's perspective. So I'm going to start right here. I'm sorry we're bringing this game up again, but it's just the most relevant and most recent. So here we are. Get your out of the way.
Just take a breath.
Let's take a couple deep breaths, and we'll try to get to some X's and O's. Okay, so just to start, basic overview of special teams and some of my opinions, especially with kickoff return. I don't know why any team ever returns a kickoff. If that ball is in the end zone, in my opinion, you should be on a knee, fair catching, give yourself up, do not come out of the end zone. Now with the NFL putting the ball at the 25, man, I dare you to watch on a kickoff return how many times in a season we return the ball past the 25-yard line. It is so minuscule that there's such a high chance for penalties, for turnovers, for injuries, that it just doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. So whenever you see a guy returning a kick out of the end zone, it should be in a desperation position where it's the end of the game. We need a huge momentum changing play to really blow up the game, or in preseason when you're trying to work on stuff. Other than that, in my opinion, if you get a ball kicked to you in the end zone, you should be taking a knee, taking it from the 25. Because as we are going to see here on this very first play of this game, good things do not happen when you take the ball out on a kickoff. So that's my opinion on that. It is a very conservative approach, but I say take the ball to 25 and do your best to get to 75 yards instead of trying to take the ball out and get to the 27 and risk all those things. But there are a lot of things that go into how you set up a return, the responsibilities, the aggressiveness that you want to take. So just generally from a formation perspective, you have one guy always deep, right? You always have one guy. You only have one guy in the end zone waiting there to return the kick, which in my opinion, if you're only going to put one guy in the middle, I don't know why. Again, this is a high school perspective, but I don't know why there's not more directional kicks. Why are you not aiming for the numbers to kick the ball, let it roll through the back of the end zone? I don't know why we don't do that more often. But there's one guy in the back, and then in front of him, you can move people around as to where you think best to set up your return. Now, in high school, we always did it 5 in the front. You see this front line here. This is your front line. They're here just in case of onside kicks to be able to put pressure on, to be able to recover something. They try something tricky. So you have your front line. We always did 5 and then 2-2-2. We always had 2 guys deep because they never kicked the ball to the middle of the field. But as you can see here, our front line, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Counting's hard, but we do have 6 guys up front.
Counting's hard, but we do our best here at Charger Chat.
So here we have 6 guys up front. They're allowed to be 10 yards off the ball, but they back up to 15 to give them a little bit extra help on the return because they're assuming they're athletic enough to come up and play an onside, which never really happens in the NFL. So our base formation here that we're running most recently in the preseason is 6 up front, 2-2-1. So we have 6, 2 guys. They're only about 10 yards back, 15 more yards back. There's 2 more, and then there's your return guy. That's our base formation. Now, there's nothing saying that you have to line up like that. So as you watch the formations, you can adjust and flow and move people around based on what they're giving you. But that's what our base formation is right here. Scheme. That's where things start to get a little bit tricky. In high school, we always ran a man return, which is, I think, what you see most of the time. And in a man scheme, everyone is responsible for one man. It's just like in a pass defense. You have your corners responsible for the number 1 receiver, your slot corner or your outside linebacker is responsible for the number 2 receiver. So everyone has a man. So as you look at here, these guys obviously aren't positions like a defense. They're special teams. So what we always did was just number these guys. So this is L1. The next guy in is L2. The next guy in is L3, so on and so forth. On this side, R1, R2, so on and so forth. So you know right when you line up, that's my guy. What it does is it just ensures that everyone has a guy. You're not just getting to a zone and hoping that somebody shows up. You're going to, as we see, I'll run the clip here in a second. They all start to work their way back towards the kickoff. So they're all going to sprint straight back 15 yards, but then they flip their head around and find their man. So I'll run the clip one time here so we can watch together. But you'll see the front line, the back line, and the line behind that. As soon as that ball is kicked, you see it's not an onside, you flip and get back. You're getting back 15 yards plus to try to get to as close to the return guy as possible. And then you see these guys all flip and find a man. You see, he let this guy go. That's not his man. His eyes are locked on to somebody that he's now going to go try to snug up on. And the idea is you're going to let them come, because if you try to make contact with them right away at the line, they're going to get away from you. That's a long way to run with the guy. You're hoping to minimize that time as much as possible so that you make contact 2 or 3 seconds before the ball carrier is going to get there. So that timing is a really big important piece, because it's hard to stay engaged without holding or something bad happening for more than 2 or 3 seconds. So they all sprint back as much as they can, find their man. Like you can see, Palmer is locked on. Right here, we're locked on to somebody in the distance. They have already engaged. He is already looking for this man that got let go. He is your personal protector, so he's just trying to find the hole that opens up to lead the returner through. But you're all going to sprint back, whip your head around, and then you just want to stay in contact. Well, they actually showed a lot of this in the YouTube special they just put out. They showed Darius Swinton running through drills where guys sprint back 10 yards, flip their hips, get engaged, and try to turn a guy. So you're just trying to give your return guy an easy go. So if he sees butts, he's going to keep running. If he doesn't, he's going to try to make a cut. Now, as we run this, some of the things that don't go well, obviously, is right here at the end of this play. You see Josh Palmer standing around with his finger up his butt looking backwards. He did not engage anyone, didn't make contact with a single person. And that's where things really start to break down. Everyone has a job and you have to buy in.
Right.
He doesn't do anything and doesn't touch anyone. And the biggest no-no in all of football, return game, offense, is you never turn around. The only thing you can do there is block someone in the back. Until he knows the whistle is blown, he should have been trying to engage someone or go work up and get a hit on the kicker. But there's just a lot of
mess that guy up.
Yeah, go get the kicker.
Get him.
But there's just a lot of things in that timing of how far do we get back, of that technique of being able to flip around and find your guy. Everyone is responsible for a man. So if everyone does their job, everyone should be blocked. So every time that a tackle is made, it's you didn't engage or you lost your battle. In this case, Palmer didn't really put up much effort. I think he has his eyes set on bigger and better things in the offense. And he's like, hey, coach, this ain't it for me. But yeah, pretty poor effort. But even look, like that was a short kick, right? That ball, when kicked off, it was a short kick. When they kick, it's up to like the 10 or 12 yard line when he gets it, right? He returns it at the 11. Okay, pretty decent return, right? Where does he get tackled? The 27. But then there's a penalty on the play because we engaged two guys with one guy, which is unnecessary roughness apparently in the NFL. We start with the ball at the 10 yard line. Whereas that's my point in all of this scheme, in my opinion, on kickoff return. Scheme it down as simple as you want because you should be taking a knee every time the ball is kicked in the end zone. Now, some teams like the Seahawks, they want to try to get tricky. The Patriots, they want to try to get tricky, force you to get the ball out because they're that confident in their return, in their coverage team. But I'm just telling you, if I see a touchback on every time we take the field on a kickoff return, I think we're in really good shape. Any questions on that, guys?
I'm just curious. Does it seem like there's a lot of short kicks from the opposing team we're facing now? Like they want to like pin you to like make you take it at the 1 or 2, so now you have even more distance to travel. So is that a scheme that people also do if they have a good enough kicker?
Right. Yeah. Ever since they moved the ball out to the 25 as the touchback, teams want to try to do that. They want to try to get more hang time on the ball to keep the ball in the air, get the coverage team there and try to pin them. And obviously force turnovers, force penalties, create bad field position. But it's not that often. Like there's some teams that do it majority of the time, like the Chargers. Let's just kick the ball through the end zone, make them start at the 25, and let's go play football. Don't blow it on special teams.
And I'm not trying to support Badgley or anything, but his inability to kick it out of the end zone may play, in the flit reverse where he's knocking it down you're taking it at the 5. So why having Tristan Vizcaino versus Badgley is beneficial for us?
Well, it's all depends on the hang time. He can kick it to the 5 all he wants, but if it gets there in 2 seconds, that's no good.
That's a line drive. That doesn't do us any good.
You got to get the ball up there and give the coverage team time to get down there, or it doesn't matter. That's why sometimes you see the ball kick to the 5. That's great if you can get the ball up there and we have time to get down there. Mm-hmm. If not, just kick the ball out of the end zone, give them the ball to 25. And as a conservative coach myself, I admit it, I am very conservative in my approach to scheme. I would kick the ball out of the end zone every time. In high school, I never kicked deep. I onside kicked or pooched every single time because I did not trust my kids to go down there and tackle the best player on their team every time. Because in high school, that kid's going to run around for 10 seconds and score a touchdown half the time. Yeah. So we onside kick probably 60% of the time. Get to that
second or third tier guys.
Yep, exactly. I'm kicking chance. To that second line kind of linebacker types that they're just going to try to run somebody over and they get the ball at the 35. And that's cool with me.
That's
good
a
enough
victory
for
for Kyle.
Yeah. Okay. And then now we'll look at punt return. So we looked at kickoff return. In my opinion, we should always be taking touchbacks. Punt return, you don't have that liberty. We have to get a return here. You want to get as many yards as you possibly can every single time. Think about it. If we can even get 10 yards on every return, that's one less first down that we have to make make up to score a touchdown, right? So if we can average 5, 6, if we can average 10 yards of return, that's huge. Right now we average negative to 0 because it's always a fair catch because somebody's in our face every time. Again, we only have one guy deep. In my opinion, I don't know why any punter ever kicks it to the middle of the field. I feel like every single punt should be to the number outside, pin them in. And if for whatever reason you kick it out of bounds, you kick it out of bounds. That's fine. There's no return. But yeah, in my opinion, every punt should be numbers out, pin that guy in, and your coverage team knows exactly where to go. But that's not always the case. So our punt return team is set up. So when you see this setup, we have 6 guys up here on the line of scrimmage, right? It doesn't look like a defensive formation. It looks like these guys are going after the ball. They're trying to gear up and go block the punt. We then have 2 up top defending this flyer, 1 down at the bottom on this flyer. You have a linebacker that's keying either center. So that long snapper, you're not allowed to hit at the line of scrimmage. So he's going to snap, hesitate a second, and take off. So usually we would have this guy spying the center, or sometimes he'll belly out and help with the flyer if he takes a really hard inside release. And then you obviously have your 1 return guy back there on an island. The interesting note, there's 3 different general returns. You can have your normal return, which can be directional. You can say we want to return left, return right, or just your basic return middle. You can go after it and try to block it where you're sending a lot of guys. It looks like we're sending 6, right? But in reality, as I run the clip, there's only 1 guy. This edge guy is the only guy trying to block the punt. Or you can go really safe. If it's a situation where we're trying to get a really big return, we don't care. Like, it's likely that they're going to punt it. We don't want to rough the kicker, whatever the situation may be. We don't rush anyone. We think there might be a fake. We really sit back really hard and wait for these guys to show their hand. So all of that. And right now, as they line up, you don't know. As a spectator, as a fan, we're just watching. We don't know. So I'm just going to run it one time through so that you can see these 5 guys here, from here to here. They all are going to fire off the ball. These guys are all going to take 2 or 3 steps backwards to engage them. But then they're going to try to get downfield into coverage in some way. These guys all have a lane that they have to stay in to keep the returner inside of. So they're all going to take off downfield. But now we're not just going to run by, try to block the kick, and then allow 11 guys to run down the field and make the play. So these, from here to here, they're all going to take 3 hard steps like they're going to block it. And then you'll see them all right away engage. So the difference between punt return and kickoff return, you get to sprint back 15 yards and wait for the guy. You only have to stay in contact for 2 or 3 seconds, right? Here, you're running with the guy the whole field. You're going to act like you're going to block it. You engage, and then you got to run with them the whole play. So as we roll this one, just watch the box. They all pull up, and they're all peeling back and trying to engage in one with them. So it's not just a couple second hold your block. It's a tough job. But I'll run it again. Watch, there's only 1 guy that's going to rush it, and it's off this right edge. You could see him. He's trying to make a move and actually try to get through. He's not responsibility for blocking anyone. Doesn't have a great rush there. But everyone else is peeling back to try to stay engaged and stay locked in, or stay in contact, as you hear a lot of the time, with the punt team. So that's the box. That's what you see when you see those middle 6 guys. Now on the edges, you have more choices even further with those guys on the flyers, right? As you see here, so we looked at the middle of the box, the 6 guys in there, but then you can look at the edges as well, right? We have 2 up top. So these guys are both responsible for blocking here. And right here, we're 1-on-1. So in my opinion, this would dictate we're trying to return the ball to this side of the field. We're trying to run to our sideline. For whatever reason in football, that's always a love of coaches, is to return to your sideline. But these guys are both going to stay engaged and run with him the whole way. And numbers wise, that's okay, right? Because they have a punter that's not going to go in coverage. So we have an extra guy on the return. So we're going to engage here. Like I said, generally, I would have him spying the long snapper, but you could tell here he's forcing him inside. From where he starts, he's going to force him inside. He's going to peel, and they got 2-on-1 here. So we're giving up numbers with these guys in the box saying, we just want our guy to be able to catch the ball and have a second to make a move. So that's that. And that's another strategy. You could go 1-on-1 here. And in my opinion, a better strategy. I don't know if anyone ever does this, but go one-on-one here, drop this guy back a couple more yards. So you have that second wave that this guy has to get through. And just create a little bit more of a tougher go, because look, that guy had 2 guys on him. He's still down there on the ball, making the play. That's just poor coverage, right? You have 2 guys on one and that guy's still running free, not barely touched, right in our return guy's face. 2-on-1. That guy, we do a good job on him because he can't be the first one to touch it because he's out of bounds. But this guy here, 19, he ran right down the field. No one touched him. That's the kind of stuff that just cannot happen.
Mm-hmm.
You go 2-on-1, you got it. That guy better be on his back. Like you have to get in his face. So those are just some of the subtleties of punt return. There's a lot of opportunities and things that you can change up and adjust and mess with. Obviously, as fans, we see the return guy and how many yards he gets. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. A lot of things that need to get drastically better. You cannot, I just don't understand how you go 2-on-1 and allow a guy to run right by you and get right to the return guy's face, because he has to have a second to catch it. If it's him against big guys, those linebacker D-line type that are in the box, I'll take chances. You let these flyers go fly down, it just can't happen. So yeah, that's just some of the things that I saw as watching these couple of returns.
So a question then, in comparison to kickoff and punt returns, the kickoff one, you showed that the guys start much further back. So they have more time to get downfield, quickly turn around and get their guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know the answer to this, but I still want to ask it. So for the lineup for punt returns, you've got the guys, they are right up on them on the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
Is that to basically take away the opportunity? Because like they've only got a couple yards to go.
Right.
That they could possibly like, okay, well, I'm just going to throw it to this guy and he's going to get a first down and call it good.
Exactly.
Is that why they're that close and not further back?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. You have, first and foremost, you have to take away the fake. Because every special teams coordinator is up in the box looking at how they're lined up, and he's got a mic to somebody on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So if the numbers are in their favor, they will fake it, especially on a 4th and 2. You're going to keep all those guys in the box that you can. But yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, you have to be up on the line to take away the fake.
Okay. Awesome. Hey, I made a guess and it worked.
Good work.
All right. Well, there you go. Bolt Fan 43. Kyle took a look at your question and broke it down. And boy, we all learned a little something today about special teams. There was I like I said, I just watch it going just like, please get the ball and don't get tackled or like you said, just like take a knee in the end zone. Why are you running it? But we learned a little something. So thank you, Coach.
The more
Absolutely.
you know.
All right, folks, there you go. Another Coach's Classroom in the books. And that is pretty much going to do it for us here for Charger Chat this week. We covered a lot of ground. Obviously, we had the 53-man roster was the big deal. But we are just a little over a week now, folks, away from that first game against Washington. God, and we're actually going to see our number ones out there. We're going to see Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Joey Bosa, Rashawn Slater protecting Justin Herbert, Derwin James. We're going to see Derwin James for the first time in over a year. Like, oh my God. I think these next couple episodes prior to the Washington game are going to be pretty exciting, folks. We'll talk to you guys on Tuesday, talk about any news that's going on, get just a little bit more hyped up because we'll be just that much closer to the regular season.
Let's go.
Let's go, baby. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us at Charger Chat. Don't forget to bolt up because we're ready for any squad, any place.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye. Baby. And now, a word from our sponsors. When you need a break from the world, reach for the Bolt God noise-canceling headphones. Silence the haters, the critics, and opposing team fans easily with the Bolt God noise-canceling headphones. They quiet. They really quiet.